The moment she walked into his life, he stopped being himself. He started texting back faster, laughing louder, dressing younger. He began apologizing for things that didn't need apologies. He started shrinking, slowly, quietly, because somewhere in the back of his mind, he believed that who he actually was wasn't enough for her. And here's the brutal truth nobody told him. That shift, that's exactly what killed her attraction. Not his age, not his looks, not the years between them, his behavior. Because younger women are not repelled by older men. They're repelled by older men who forget why they were attractive in the first place. So, what are you doing right now that's slowly erasing your value without you even realizing it? If you're an older man who's developed feelings for a younger woman, or you're in something with one right now, and something feels slightly off, slightly uneven, like she's pulling back while you're leaning forward, this video is going to hit differently. Not because I'm going to tell you what you want to hear, but because I'm going to tell you what you need to understand. There's a specific psychological dynamic that forms between older men and younger women. And when older men don't understand this dynamic, they make a series of predictable, devastating mistakes. Mistakes that strip away every single quality that made them attractive to her in the first place. These aren't random errors, they follow a pattern. And once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it. Here's what we're going to cover: 5 critical mistakes backed by real female psychology and stoic wisdom that older men make when they're around younger women. Not surface level advice like dress better or act confident. I mean, deep structural errors in how they show up. Errors rooted in ego, fear, and a fundamental misunderstanding of what attraction actually is. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why certain behaviors destroy the dynamic and what to replace them with. You'll also understand something that most men in this situation never grasp. Your age is not your weakness, your relationship with your age is. Now, here's the first thing I want you to stay for. Later in this video, I'm going to reveal the single biggest psychological trap older men fall into, one that actually has a clinical name in attachment theory, and why the men who escape it become more attractive, not less. And the second thing, I'm going to show you the Stoic principle that, when applied to this exact situation, acts like a complete reset on how she sees you. Stay with me on this, because what you're about to learn isn't just about her, it's about who you become when you stop letting the fear of losing someone make you someone worth losing. Let's get into it. Here's what most men believe when they're with a younger woman: that the age gap is the problem, that the obstacle between them and this woman is simply the number of years. So, what do they try to do? Erase it. They try to seem younger. They downplay their past. They apologize for their wisdom. They shrink their experience because they think it's a liability. That belief is wrong, and it's costing them everything. Younger women who are genuinely attracted to older men are not attracted despite the age gap. They're attracted because of what that gap represents: stability, experience, presence, a man who has already done the work of becoming himself. The moment he starts pretending that doesn't exist, the moment he starts acting like a 25-year-old to impress her, the entire foundation of her attraction cracks. Let's call this what it is in psychological terms. This is cognitive dissonance in action. She was attracted to a specific version of you, grounded, composed, certain of himself. Then your behavior starts contradicting that image. The internal conflict it creates in her isn't confusion, it's loss of respect, and attraction cannot survive without respect. Now, here's where it gets deeper. There's a concept in an attachment theory called anxious preoccupation. It describes a pattern where one person, usually the one who feels less secure in the relationship, begins to over-monitor the other person's behavior, reading into texts, analyzing tone, looking for reassurance. It becomes consuming. And here's the thing about anxious preoccupation: it doesn't just feel desperate, it broadcasts desperate. She doesn't have to consciously register it for her nervous system to feel it and pull back. Older men are particularly vulnerable to this. Why? Because many of them haven't faced this kind of emotional uncertainty in years. They've been in long-term relationships. They've been comfortable. And now something feels unstable, something important, and the instinct is to grip tighter. But gripping tighter is exactly what loosens her grip on you. Let me give you a scenario. Mark is 47, she's 28. They've been seeing each other for 3 months. Things were great. She was responsive, warm, engaged. Then she goes quiet for 2 days. No reason, just less communication. And Mark, who in a boardroom would wait someone out without a second thought, starts double texting, starts asking if she's okay, starts subtly, anxiously reshaping himself to be whatever he thinks she needs. He even starts dressing differently, talking differently, trying to seem less old. She notices. She doesn't say anything, but she pulls back further. This is not a story about cruelty. It's a story about energy. She felt the shift. The moment certainty left him, something fundamental changed in how she experienced him. Here's the truth she probably couldn't articulate even if she tried. She was attracted to the version of Mark who didn't need her approval, the version who had a world of his own, the version who could take her or leave her, not because he was cold, but because he was complete. The moment he needed her response to feel okay about himself, she lost the thing she was most attracted to. This is not manipulation. This is not a game. This is evolutionary psychology. Women, especially younger women with genuine attraction to older men, are drawn to presence, to a man who exists fully independently without requiring her to prop him up emotionally. And here's the micro cliffhanger I want to leave you with before we get into the solutions. The men who understand this don't just recover their attractiveness, they multiply it. Because once you know the mechanism, once you see exactly why the instinctive behaviors backfire, you can do something most men never do. You can override the instinct. You can choose the behavior that actually works. That's where we're going right now. Mistake number one, you stopped being the authority in your own life. Here's what that looks like. You start rearranging your schedule around hers without being asked. You start making her your first topic of conversation with friends. You check her social media. Your day's emotional temperature is set by whether she texted back. What you need to understand is this. Women are attracted to men with missions, not men who are obsessed with them. The psychology here is counterintuitive. The more your world revolves around her, the smaller your world looks to her. And a man with a small world is not a man worth staying in. Here's what you do. Rebuild non-negotiable anchors in your life that have nothing to do with her. That gym session, that professional project, that friendship. Not as tactics, as genuine commitments. Because the man who has things he won't drop for anyone becomes inherently more attractive than the man who has nothing he wouldn't drop for her. The warning here, don't perform this. Don't manufacture fake busyness to seem unavailable. Women read inauthenticity instantly. The goal is not the appearance of having a life, it's actually having one. Mistake number two, you're trying to compete with younger men and losing by trying. The moment you start dressing, talking, or acting like you're 25 because she's 28, you've already lost the frame. You cannot out-young a younger man, but you don't have to. The psychology behind this is called social proof through contrast. She isn't with you in spite of the difference. She's with you because of it. The moment you erase what's different about you, your composure, your directness, your lack of petty drama, you give her a pale imitation of the younger men she already chose not to pursue. Here's what you do. Own the contrast. Be direct when younger men hedge. Be calm when they perform. Dress like yourself, not like a younger version of yourself. There is a specific kind of confidence that only comes from a man who has been through things, who has been tested and survived. That quality has no age limit. It only grows. Let it. The warning, don't over-explain your experience. Maturity doesn't need to announce itself. The moment you start saying, when you're my age, you'll understand, you've turned a strength into a lecture nobody asked for. Mistake number three, you're seeking validation from her instead of offering value to her. This one is subtle and devastating. It shows up as constantly asking if she's having fun, checking if she's okay with your choices, scanning her face for approval after you speak. You're looking for reassurance, and reassurance seeking is the single fastest way to collapse a woman's attraction. The psychology here connects to what's called locus of control. A man with an internal locus of control makes decisions based on his own values and trusts his own judgment. A man with an external locus constantly looks outward for confirmation that he's doing the right thing. Women don't find the second type safe. They find him uncertain, and uncertain men don't feel like a solid ground to stand on. Here's what you do: practice making decisions without seeking her reaction. Suggest the restaurant, choose the activity, state your opinion. Not to dominate, but to lead. Leadership isn't about control, it's about direction. Give the relationship direction. The warning: don't confuse leadership with dismissiveness. Asking for her preference is not weakness. Needing her to approve your preferences before you'll commit to them, that's the problem. Mistake number 4: you over explain your past and undervalue your present. Many older men feel compelled to contextualize themselves. Mention the divorce, acknowledge the gray hair, reference the age gap preemptively. They do this from a place of humility, but it reads as insecurity. You're essentially asking her permission to exist in your own skin. The psychology. Self deprecation is attractive when it's confident, not when it's apologetic. There is a difference between a man who can laugh at himself from a place of security and a man who is constantly pointing out his own flaws because he's afraid she'll discover them first. Here's what you do: let your history be a source of quiet gravitas, not a list of disclaimers. You don't need to hide where you've been, but you also don't need to lead with it. The warning: don't suppress real conversations when they arise naturally. Authenticity still matters. What you're removing is the preemptive apologizing, not the honesty. Mistake number 5: you make her the center of your emotional world before she's earned that position. This is perhaps the most common. You fall fast, you invest deeply and immediately. You make her feel like the most important person in your life before you actually know if this person deserves that position in your life. The psychology. Premature emotional investment creates an imbalance that feels suffocating, not flattering. She doesn't want to be worshipped. She wants to be chosen by a man who had other choices. Here's what you do: slow the investment down to match the actual depth of what's been built. Let trust develop before you give total access. Let time reveal character, hers and yours, before you restructure your life around someone. The warning: this is not emotional unavailability. You can be warm, present, and genuinely interested while still maintaining perspective on where you are in the process. I want to talk to you differently for a moment, not about tactics, not about steps, about the weight of what you're actually carrying right now. Because if you're in this situation, if there's a younger woman you care about and something feels uncertain, there's a specific kind of discomfort that comes with that. It's not just the normal anxiety of something new, it's the collision of everything you've built, everything you know about yourself, with a situation that feels like it somehow reset the rules on you. You're lying awake at 3 a.m. not because you're weak. You're lying awake because you care. And somewhere in you is a voice saying, am I too old for this? Did I wait too long? Is who I am right now enough? I want to address that voice directly, not to silence it, but to reframe it. That question, am I enough, is not the right question. It's a fear question. And fear questions produce fear behaviors: over explaining, over pursuing, over investing before it's warranted. The right question is, who am I when I'm not afraid? Because the version of you that existed before the fear moved in, that version had something real, something earned, something that cannot be bought with youth or manufactured with charm. It was built through difficulty, through loss, through the slow accumulation of knowing yourself. The Stoics had a concept that applies here with precise accuracy: amor fati, the love of one's fate, not tolerance of your circumstances, not grudging acceptance, love. The full embrace of the path you've actually walked, not the one you wish you'd walked. Because the man who fully inhabits his own history, who doesn't fight it, who doesn't apologize for it, who simply is it, that man is magnetic in a way that no performance of youth can replicate. She doesn't need you to be 30. She needs you to be certain of yourself, your values, your worth, regardless of her response to it. And here's the reframe I want to leave you with: that silence you might be sitting in right now, that space of not knowing, of uncertainty, of waiting to see how this unfolds, that silence is not emptiness. It is construction. The man you're becoming during this discomfort is more grounded than the man who had no discomfort to navigate. The patience this requires is not passivity. It is one of the most powerful masculine qualities there is. A man who can hold uncertainty without collapsing under it, without shrinking, without grasping, without performing, is a man who has genuine inner structure. And that structure, that is what outlasts chemistry. That is what deepens over time. That is what separates a connection worth having from one that burns fast and leaves nothing. You are not too old. You are not too late. You are, possibly for the first time in years, being asked to become the most complete version of yourself. And that process doesn't happen in spite of this discomfort, it happens through it. Don't rush it, don't dilute it, let it build you. If this video helped you see something you hadn't seen before, if even one piece of this landed differently than you expected, hit subscribe. Because there's more where this came from. Real psychology, real depth, no filler. And drop a comment below. Tell me, which of these 5 mistakes hit closest to home for you? Not because I need to know, but because naming it is the first step to changing it. I'll see you in the next one.